Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today I want to start a new reading vlog, and if you have been following my channel for a while, you know that I love doing complete reading vlogs for series. However, this one is going to be a little bit different because this is a series that is not actually finished yet. In this vlog, we're going to read the first 3 books of the Dungeon Crawler Call series. I'm very excited to get started with this because this has been such a hyped series. I have so many friends who really fell in love with this and a marathon read it in 2025. So I was kind of feeling like I'm missing out, and I have owned the first 3 audiobooks for a while now, but I hadn't felt like the right moment yet, but I think the right moment is now. So I'm reading A Dungeon Crawler Call right now. In this series, we're following mainly 2 characters, Carl and Princess Donut. Carl is a human and Princess Donut is a cat, and when one night they're out in the cold because reasons, like Princess Donut had a little bit of a moment there, the world basically gets destroyed, and all the people who are outside of buildings, they survive, and they can then enter into a dungeon, and they can do this dungeon crawl, which is basically like a big intergalactic TV situation, like a like one of those like game shows, but it is for your life. So basically now Carl and Princess Donut enter the dungeon, and they have to fight through a ton of different levels to survive. Now, the way this works is that I will always update you when I'm about halfway through a book and then when I have finished a book, and that way we can experience the first 3 books of the series together in this video. And if I do end up enjoying these 3, I will do a part 2 where I read the next 3, and then we will have to wait until more comes out. I think right now we have 7 books released, so we'll see. But also, I don't want to like rush this. I really want to listen to these books when I'm in the mood for it. Now, talking about the audiobooks, unfortunately right now they are only available on Audible. Now, I canceled my Audible in February last year because I want to give Jeff Bezos as little of my money as I possibly can, and I switched everything over to Libro FM, which I think in general is the better audiobook service. I have really enjoyed my time with Libro FM. But then every couple of months I will get this invite from Audible to join back in for 99 cents per month. And so this is how I acquired these audiobooks. So I will always sign up for these 3 months where I only pay 99 cents, get those 3 books, and sign off again, basically. So yeah, this is still problematic. We all have to find our ways to deal with these websites and these tech bros that don't have our best interest in mind at all. But yeah, I wanted to make this very clear how I got the audiobooks, just so you know. So let's get reading. Okay, so currently I'm now halfway, a little bit more than halfway actually, through the first book, and I'm really enjoying my time. A lot of my friends have said that the first book is the weakest and that it gets better and better as the series goes on. So I try to go in with not the highest expectations. I mean, this series has been so hyped. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I really enjoy Carl and Princess Donut as the main characters and as a duo. I think that the kind of voice of Carl that we get in the books, the way he narrates his way through the dungeon, I really enjoy it. I definitely think, like, because, you know, humor is so subjective. So I was a little bit worried that it would be like too much like Dude Bro or something like that, but it's not for me. There were a couple of things that are actually quite sad, and I think that the book does a good job of like not completely ironing it out and pretending this is just funny haha business, because the world has been destroyed. And while it is completely understandable that because of the situation that Carl is now in, he is very fixated on these games, I think it still does a great job of like in some moments bringing back this realization that the world is gone, and also some of these bosses that they have to fight, they build on stereotypes from Earth, and especially the first one, the hoarder lady, it was so sad. It was so sad. I mean, my Spanish isn't that great. I learned it for 3 years in school, and you would not guess that. But, just from the couple of things that I did gather from what she said, is so incredibly sad. And yeah, I think the balance is there. Like, this is mostly funny and wild and action packed, but there are moments when Cola's like, oh my god, the world is gone. Now, this is also a little bit gory because they do have to fight people. Like, this is not like, I don't know, like a cozy game that they're in, obviously. This is like life and death. So there is some gore, there is some like weird monsters. So if you don't like stuff that is kind of gross, then I would say go into this with caution, because yeah, some themes are definitely a little bit icky. I also have heard people say that they think the way that the AI has a bit of a foot fetish is like very weird. And I think that's something that gets brought up throughout the series. So I don't know if I'm in like the weird, like bad parts yet, but I have definitely noticed. And yeah, I don't know. Like, so far, I feel like it hasn't been like so over the top that it gets completely ridiculous, but that's definitely also something to consider. That there is a little bit of talk of feet, especially because when the world gets destroyed, because Carl ran out to get Princess Donut in the middle of the night, he's not wearing pants and he's wearing shoes that belong to his ex-girlfriend. So basically he enters the dungeons without fitting shoes and without pants. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this does a good job of like giving this an actual like realistic portrayal. Like, I mean, if you imagine you would run out of your house in the middle of the night, what would you be wearing? Like, I can tell you, I would not be fully dressed. I would probably wear my slippers and a bathrobe. So I think that a lot of this, while it is fun and wild and adventurous and chaotic and a little bit gross and very action-packed, it feels still realistic. You know what I mean? And I think that's what I like about this book. We do have some new characters that we meet along the way. Some are dangerous and some are honestly really cute and really sad. So I'm intrigued to see how the second half will move along now, whether we will spend more time with some of these characters as well, or whether Carl and Donut will go more of their own way. And if we do spend more time with this like one group that we have met around the middle point, I'm really scared how that is gonna work out. It's probably gonna be sad. I don't know. I'm gonna continue on listening to this, and I'll talk to you again once I've finished the first book. So I'm back now because I have finished listening to Dungeon Crawler Carl, and it was an interesting experience to say the least. Now, unfortunately, I have to admit that I listened to quite a big chunk of the finale of the book while I was doing a lot of things, like I was going grocery shopping and cleaning the flat and preparing my flat for having guests over. So I wasn't paying as much attention to it as I should have. But then I also felt like the finale isn't like this big bang that you would expect from like other books. With the way the story is told, you can tell very early on that this book is probably going to end when they have finished the second level of the dungeon. And because of that, it's a little bit anticlimactic because you don't have this like huge big thing. I feel like the ending of the first floor is like big and explosive. I didn't feel the same way about the second floor. Now we do still have something like very fun that is added at the end, and that I'm like so intrigued to see how that will develop in the second book. In general, I think that I can't wait to read that second book. I will probably pick that up in a couple of weeks. For now, I do have some other reading plans for my audiobooks, but whenever that is finished, I will go back to this series for sure. And yeah, it's intriguing, it's fun, it's fast-paced and action-packed, and I think in a way that was what I needed last week. I went through this audiobook extremely fast. I listened to it in like a big chunks, when you don't want to stop listening to it. And that was fantastic. So yeah, I'm very happy with the listening experience for this one. So I have decided that I will give this first book 4 stars, and we have room to rate the sequels higher if I feel like it, because a lot of my friends have also said that the sequels are even better, and I can't wait to experience that. Now, I think a lot of the things I said in the first update still stand. I think it's very great how this book balances kind of the sad aspects that we would see and have when the world is ending with this like really fun, action-packed adventure story. The balance is definitely there, and that makes this book feel very realistic. I also like that this really plays with some like stereotypes and some tropes that we kind of know from the real world. So in the second half of the book, we go also more into the media landscape that surrounds the dungeon crawl. And we do have like one character that almost gave me a little bit of like Oprah vibes, like a very, very successful kind of like talk show moderator person, but who's also kind of trying to help our characters in a way, in a very like limited fashion, that she's not even allowed that, but she's like still trying to be supportive in a way. But we also see this one talk show that is basically targeting like teenage boys and how disgusting and awful it is. And my God, I will not hear the word piglet and think of something nice for a very long time. Let me just say that. It is very aware of the world in a way as well, but then also blows these stereotypes up in some scenes and like really makes it very interesting kind of like caricature as well. And I'm like really intrigued to carry on with this series. My voice is fading. I think that is all I'm gonna say for the spoiler-free part. However, I do wanted to talk about some concrete things in a spoilery part. So if you haven't read this book yet, you can use the chapters to jump over this next one, and then you won't be spoiled, and I will talk spoiler-free about the second book. I will try to keep this one short. Just a little bit of things that stood out to me. So be aware from now on, it's spoilers. And the first thing I need to talk about, and after finishing the book, as I said, I was like setting up my place to receive some guests. And so it completely vanished from my mind. And then last night I was sitting here and I was like, oh my God, how did I forget that happened? But we have a dinosaur as a pet. We have a raptor as a pet. And I'm like, oh my God, like I love that. I love also that the pet is donuts, and the way she chose it, she's like, look at this thing. It is like super evil and hate, but it looks so cute. It really reminds me of the way I choose my cats. So yeah, I loved that. I love the idea of it. I don't know if I found it like really smart to have that kind of as the end plot in a way, because this whole thing of like binding with it and training it, it didn't feel like a big finale ending of a book in a way. But I do love the idea of in the next book having a little dinosaur pet. I love that so much, and I can't wait to see this like develop. Now, Donut, I love Donut, and I do not understand why people think she's so annoying. I think it's a very great portrayal of a cat, and I really love her. I love the way that whenever she gets something new, instead of like reading the description, she immediately applies it, and then it's something bad. I think that is such cat behavior. Like, you would not get my cat to read a description before she gets her treats, you know what I mean? And I love that because she was kind of like this show cat, she had to go into all of these like, you know, cat competitions. She loves the attention, and she loves being on TV and all of that, and the people love her as well. But I do like that there is still like the balance with Carl. Like, Carl also has a lot of fans, and I think that's a good way to portray this. I'm really intrigued to see, because like Carl has these moments when he's like, oh my God, this cat is so obsessed with the media, this is going to be a problem. I'm intrigued to see whether that will actually happen in the sequels, whether there will actually be some scandal or something, I don't know, or whether it's really just these like small moments when she's trying to like really show off, but then it ends badly. I do really like the way that we have other characters that pop up again and again. So, for example, we have this like, what is he called? Is it a guild master or something? Like the guy who can basically give them tips and explain stuff to them. I really like the idea that on every level, whenever they go into one of those rooms, one of those tutorial rooms, it will be the same guy for them. I really like that because through that you have some consistency, you build up side characters, and I was very worried about this concept of the side characters, because if you only had like crawlers as side characters, you can never be sure how long they're gonna last and which way it's going to end. And the same with the kind of Oprah woman, I forgot her name already, but I like that she seems to be someone we will meet again and again throughout the books. I also like that these two kind of have a history as well that we will probably explore a little bit more in the sequels. We already have some groundwork, how they know each other and why maybe their relationship isn't as great as it could be. Now, talking about side characters, we obviously have the retirement home crew, and when they got introduced, I was so scared, because from that moment on, you know that this is not going to end well at all. Like, this cannot end well in the setting that we're looking at. And I don't know if we will meet them again. I really enjoyed Brandon as a character because he's also so smart. And I think that Carl and Brandon were a great team, especially building like stuff to kill monsters. So I would like to see him again. The moment when Yolanda died, I was grocery shopping, and I'm not gonna lie, I had to like go into a dark corner and my knees got wobbly. I started crying and it was so sad. And the way that Carl frames it in his head as well, the way he describes that Yolanda is a person who has been a hero every single day of her life because of how she took care of others. And I'm getting goosebumps right now. And he says that like if Yolanda had been his mother, the way his life would have been different, and that she would have never abandoned him. And it was so much. It was so much. And yeah, I was not well. I was not well. I stood in that corner for 5 minutes, I swear, before I could leave the grocery shop. And the whole situation overall with like this big monster that they then had to kind of get rid of, so that the other people would be safe. I really like how smart Carl is with all of these traps. Like, he always comes up with an idea, and I love that about him. I think that Carl, while he is kind of funny and the way we are in his head is funny, he also is very capable. And I think with a series like this, you need a capable character. If this was really just a bumbling idiot, you would not believe that he can succeed in this. But he is a mixture of an idiot, but also someone with like good ideas and kind of like someone who thinks outside the box a lot. I think it really makes sense. And that's what I enjoy about him, you know? It's not just luck. Like, obviously, luck plays a role. And he also talks about how he thinks that the AI maybe likes him because of the whole, like, foot fetish situation. Yeah, you can feel about that whatever you want. But I think that, you know, the fact that maybe the AI doesn't want Carl to die just yet might help him as well, especially with the way that the boxes are chosen as well. Now, this is my first book that I've read where you have this like computer game RPG kind of situation. So I am glad to say that it really worked for me. I was not annoyed by it. I don't want it in like every fantasy book that I read, but I think this is definitely something I might explore more in the future because yeah, I thought it was like integrated into the story quite well. Now, also speaking about the audiobook, just fantastic. I really, really like the way the audiobook was done. I like the voices, the echoes, and all of that. I think it added a lot to the experience, and it is a crime that these audiobooks are Audible only on Audible. I can never say it right. Now, we do have this weird couple that are trying to kill other crawlers as well. I think their storyline I have like mixed feelings about so far. Now, obviously, at the end, when they're in this like super weird like teenage boy show with the orc and the piglets and all of that, that I will not recover from anytime soon. The way that we see this play out with their daughter, I don't know how I feel about them yet. Like, I don't know like who these people are and why they are the way they are. Like, is it really just because they trust their like guild person who said they should kill other crawlers, or what is wrong with them? You know, I really haven't figured that out yet. So I'm intrigued to see. We will probably see them again and like how that will play out. And yeah, if we get like any more information on what's going on in their heads. Like with the guy, nothing much seems to be going on anymore, but the woman, she really has some issues. So I think that is all I'm going to say for this first book. I am very excited to start book 2, and I'll let you know as soon as I do how it's going. I'm now halfway through Call's Doomsday scenario, and so I'm back with a little update. Now, I gotta be honest, in my head, these books are just numbered. It's like Dungeon Crawler Call 2, so I have a hard time remembering the titles even. But we're in the second book. I am definitely enjoying it quite a bit. We are still following our characters of Call and Donut, and they made it through the first 2 levels of the dungeon in the first book, so now we're on level 3. And we are definitely exploring some new gameplay in this third level. We can see that while Donut and Call are leveling up quite a bit, the number of participants in the dungeon is also going down quite a bit. And from the first book, we do know that not all the participants will be good people to meet along the way, but we are now in kind of a different scenario. As the book title would suggest, not a very great one, but definitely we are exploring some new options. And especially for the first half of this book, I think I heard people talk about how they hate clowns, and I gotta be honest, as a lover of It by Stephen King, I also am not particularly thrilled about clowns. So this was definitely an interesting experience, but overall, it's just so fun to be back. I took a couple of weeks break between 1 and 2, so now it still feels like fresh and exciting, and I'm happy to be with these characters again. We also have a little bit of a change in Mordecai's role because of some decisions that are made at the beginning of the book, and I really enjoy that. I enjoy having him more integrated into the story. I think he's a very fascinating character because we know that, you know, in the first book, we get revealed a bit of his past and how he came to be in the games in the first place. So that's really lovely. We also got a little message from some people that Carl met in the first book in the dungeon, and that part made me a little bit happy because yeah, I don't know if we will ever like truly see these characters again, but just to hear from them was quite nice. I did appreciate that. Now, in this first half of the book, Donut has to go through some things that I don't want to spoil, but it definitely triggered a little bit of like, you know, some memories I have of going to the vet. And it was not good. It was not good. My poor little Donut did deserve better. But yeah, so far I'm having a lot of fun with it. The plot is still very fast moving, and while we still keep it, you know, in the dungeon setting, I feel like we still have something fresh and unique going on, and we definitely see a little bit of a different side of the dungeon, and we also already get a bit of an idea how the dungeon is going to change the further down we get. So I think that is quite interesting. I don't know if I really have any more, thoughts about this book. Apart from that, I think it very much follows in the footsteps of the first book. It kind of provides you with the same form of entertainment. There's definitely also some moments where it gets a little bit more heartfelt, and I still enjoy Carl as a main character so much because he really is a good guy. There is this one memory he has of his ex-girlfriend and her mom talking about him and about how it's so easy to make him happy. He's not like a very complicated guy, but at the same time, he is very smart, and he does always find interesting solutions in very dire situations. And I think that makes him a really good character to follow around, because while from, the outside or like from far away, he doesn't look very complicated, but there's still a lot going on in Cole, and I think he is an interesting character to follow, even though most of this book is more about the plot and the action and the fighting, but there are definitely moments where the characters get to shine. Now, one new addition we also have is obviously our new pet that we got at the end of the first book, and I love it. I'm obsessed. I'm so obsessed with that whole idea. I love it. Like when it was revealed at the end of the first book, I was like so happy. And it's definitely it's great. It's really great. I don't want to say more about that, not to spoil it, but I definitely love that edition as well. So I am intrigued to see how this book will continue on now. I can't believe I'm already halfway through. It doesn't really feel like I have listened to so much of it yet. And so I'm intrigued whether this book will only deal with the third level or whether we will actually proceed onto the fourth one as well in this one. But maybe it was just the first book where they put like 2 levels into one book because that was still like the beginning stages. And now maybe because there's more going on, we will see. I do not know, but I am intrigued to find out. And because of that, I will just continue listening to this book now. So I just finished reading the second dungeon crawler book called Doomsday Scenario, and I'm here to give you my final thoughts on this book. And I did really enjoy it. I must confess that I was expecting to enjoy this one more than the first book because that's what I heard from a lot of other people. Unfortunately, that did not happen for me. I would say I enjoyed it an equal amount as I did the first book. So I still end up giving this one 4 stars, and it was very entertaining. It really continued on the trajectory that I enjoyed from the first book. In this one, we do only look at 1 level, and I think that is interesting because now things just get more complex in the games, and you can really see that new elements are coming in, and I did really enjoy that. I think it wasn't boring, and we still do get these like very small glimpses on things that are going on outside of the dungeon, and that is very intriguing to me as well because I'm sure we will have a more progression with that, and we can already see like quite a few consequences when it comes to these like orc people and then also the corporation that is running the game. So it's very interesting, but still also most of the time we do spend inside the game. We do have some new characters that get introduced in the second half where we have to see how things will play out. It built very well on the first book, and I enjoyed that. Now, considering how these games work, I think we do still have a lot of this like leveling up logic and a lot of like just training and boosting and all of that. And I think this had such a good balance of like those scenes, but then also a little bit more storytelling with these quest things that got introduced. And I think that we also got like these little glimpses of the character, like especially our main character Carl, really realizing what is going on. And I think that is what keeps this series like elevated for me, is that we don't only have like the action, we do have these small moments, and they can only be small just because of like the setup of everything. But Carl does have these moments where he's like just pausing for a second, and he's like, what the hell is actually going on here? And I think that makes it so relatable and realistic. And I think Carl is a very, very good, realistic character for a situation like that. I think that we definitely see a little bit more of him in this book. We learn more about his family history, but that's mostly in the first half of the book. The second half then gets like very much more actiony, but also just kind of like we see the dungeon and the AI playing off of what they know Carl is and kind of his weaknesses in a way. But I love that Carl and Donut, while they understand what is going on, they still don't give up their humanity. And yeah, humanity for Donut is a bit odd, but you know what I mean. And Carl has these moments where he's like explicitly saying, "You won't break me." And I love that. And I am very intrigued to see how that will develop moving forward. We do get introduced to some new things, even at the end of the book, that will make it more interesting, I'm sure. We will get a whole new level in the next book that could be completely different again. So the creativity in this is also very fascinating to me. Even though we did stay on one level this time, this also still felt like we had two kind of like storylines in the first half and then in the second half of the book. So in the first book, that was like the first level and the second level, and in this one, it was like the first quest and then the second quest. So I think it's interesting that we still have this kind of storyline build-up, because it is very different from like other fantasy books that I'm reading where, you know, the like tension is just building and building, and then you have this like huge thing at the end. And this one, it always feels like two kind of peaks in the book. I'm intrigued to see how that will develop in later books, if that is just something that keeps happening. I feel like because of that, it is very not only fast paced, but you know, it feels like very fast. It feels like you get like almost two stories in one book. And this second book also isn't that long yet. I think starting from the third book, they will get quite a bit longer. So that is going to be interesting to see as well. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed this one as well. I will definitely read the third book and we will talk about it here as well, but also not quite the like euphoric 5-star feelings that some people had for the second book. Now, I think for the people who have read this book, I do want to go into a few tiny spoilers right here. So if you haven't, please use the chapters to jump to my spoiler-free thoughts on the third book. But if you have read this book already, then let's discuss a little bit. Now, in the first half of the book, we do have the whole circus theme, and I think that's very interesting. I'm not like the biggest fan of the clowns, to be sure, but I think the way it was used was very interesting. We do have this idea of these like spores or whatever they were, kind of like corrupting all of the characters who originally were a part of the circus. And then we have this naiad elf woman who is trying to destroy it to kind of save her loved ones in a way. So it's like a very bittersweet story in a way, because yes, we do have to fight these monsters, but then these monsters were also people and they just have been corrupted. And there is this scene where Carl uses that the rubber, whatever it's called, you know, the one that is pudding or an explosion and or fireball, I think it is. And it is the healing pudding, but it still helps him because it heals the infected bear. And I thought that was like very smart. It wasn't like super surprising in that moment that that would happen, but I still felt like it was a good way to get out of this situation. And then also like throughout this whole like circus thing, I feel like Carl really showed how smart he is and that he can think outside the box. And that is like the best thing about Carl, is the way that he always comes up with an idea to potentially make things better. Like, he does get into trouble, but he always has ideas of how to get out. Now, I really enjoyed the way that Mordecai was incorporated more in this second book, because now he is a manager because of Donut's class. So he he can interact with them more freely, but he also lost a kind of access to a lot of the information of the games in general. So now he has to be like really sneaky and kind of like break into other people's stashes to read the newsletters and all of that. So I thought that was very funny. But it also means that we do get quite a lot more of him, and he can be much more involved in what's going on. And I really enjoyed that. I think he's such an interesting character. We obviously know a little bit about his backstory with his brother, and then he does have some drunken moments that maybe explain even a little bit more about him. I did enjoy that part of the story. And then after that first quest with the circus, where we also learn a lot more about Carl's family, about his ex-girlfriend and his mother, and kind of the relationship with the father. We already had heard a little bit about the father in the first book, so it is just slowly starting to be like a full picture of who Carl is and why he is the way he is and all of that. And after that, we have the second quest, and the second quest is the one with the orc and the murdered prostitutes and the weird like vampire head thingies, katsus, I think they're called. So that was definitely interesting. Both of these quests were quite horror leaning, to be fair. They were definitely disgusting and gross and a little bit creepy. Creepy. Carl just blowing stuff up will always be amazing. I love that he is someone who can build like all of these elaborate things to blow stuff up. That's definitely an intriguing little technique of him. Obviously, then some stuff is blowing up that wasn't supposed to. I'm definitely intrigued to see, because now he has the like Doomsday scenario in his inventory. I am intrigued to see whether it will stay there forever or whether there will actually be some kind of use for it. I have no idea, but that was interesting. Now, overall, I didn't quite love the second quest as much. I think I thought some of the things were quite interesting, and then the twists were a little bit random in a way. And I think it makes sense that they are random, because this is still a game designed to kill people, so they will throw in these like random curveballs. But also it felt a little bit undeserved, and it felt, yeah, just a little bit random in the end. And so I was hoping for a little bit more with that. I feel like I had a similar feeling about the first book, where the end of the book isn't like the great peak. It's already earlier in the book. So it's just very interesting to read these books and to kind of like let them defy my expectations a little bit as well. Now, I don't have really any predictions for the next book. I am intrigued to see where it will go. It has Cookbook in the title, so that is interesting. Also, Carl currently isn't wearing anything, so that's a little bit concerning. Apart from that, I still love these characters. I love that they have these like small moments of reflection, of being truthful to each other. The moment when Donut confesses that she knows that her like owner is dead, the ex-girlfriend, and stuff like that. So there is these like very small moments, but they can only be very small moments because of like the design of this game. So overall, had a great time, had a lot of fun with this book. Excited to go into the next one in a couple of weeks, and then we will talk again. So I'm currently a little bit more than halfway through the Dungeon Anarchist's cookbook, and it is time to let you know how I feel about book 3 in this series. Now, I just realized that I actually have no idea which level we're on right now. I think it's 4, but I might be wrong. Maybe it's 5? I don't even remember. But we are in a level with trains, which is kind of fun. I knew that going in. Like, I knew about the clowns in book 2 and I knew about the trains in book 3. So I came prepared. We do have this level that is kind of like a maze, but it's like moving trains. And I think it's really fun. I really like the idea of that. I do like just how these books are structured because I think the whole setup that we have with the series, it could get boring and repetitive so easily, but there's always something to keep up the intrigue with the series, and I really appreciate it. So again, in book 3, we are following Carl and Donut. They do have a new teammate as well, and I really like the dynamic that we have there because like it's a character I really want to trust, but then also I kind of feel like I shouldn't, or that at least there is going to be more to it. And I do like that the characters kind of feel the same way. They are working together at this point in time, but they also always hold a little bit of themselves back, just in case, you know? Again, I love Carl because he's so capable, but he is capable in a way that just feels very realistic. And I'm doing a reread of Hunger Games right now, and I have very similar feelings about Katniss, even though like we do learn more about Katniss's backstory than Carl's, but I still feel like they have a way about like how the character is written that you actually believe that they are capable. And I think that Carl is just so like consistently written as a character that it just really makes sense to me that he gets like all of these ideas and that he gets out of certain situations that seem like something you could probably not get out of. And so yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with that. And with Donut, we are seeing quite the journey for her because the longer they are in the dungeon, the more she's kind of growing up because like she only gained like the full like human-like consciousness when she entered the dungeon. So for the beginning part, she was still like kind of figuring things out, honestly, and she still has this like very playful kind of aura to her, and she gets like very excited about things, and it's just really cute. But what I love about the series is that they also manage to always have these heartfelt and kind of sad moments. Like for example, just the last little bit that I listened to again, it talked about the fact that you know, Donut is like really, really in love with her like former owner, and that was Carl's ex-girlfriend. But Carl knew that the ex-girlfriend actually wanted to get rid of Donut, and he doesn't tell her because it would break her heart. But it's like so sad. It's so sad. And Donut is still so loyal to her. Stuff like that, it just makes me feel a lot. And I think there are multiple moments in these books where you're like, it's not just action. Like these characters, they have backstories, they have feelings. And at the beginning of this book, we also learn about a death of a certain character, and that honestly broke my heart. And the way it was like written as well, oh, it was so extremely sad. And it was something that I kind of knew would happen at some point, but I was not prepared. It was really, really sad. So I think that this series, while it is fast-paced, while it is fun, while it is completely unhinged and gross in a lot of moments, it's still not missing the heart. And I think that is like a really great feat, and I really, really love the series for that. So I'm having a grand old time listening to this, and yeah, I'm just intrigued to see how our characters will figure out the rest of this situation now. And I'm also intrigued to see like which character moments we will get for the second half of this book. And with that, I think I'm just gonna go back and listen to more. So I just finished the Dungeon Anarchist's cookbook, and with that we have come to the end of this vlog, which is very exciting because I have been filming this one for a very long time. It's a good place to stop, I think. This third book was very interesting. I had a lot of fun with it. I did like the trains. I did not get tired of the trains and of the train system, to be honest. I think it was really fun. Like the moment we started talking about spaghettis, I was like, ooh, interesting. So yeah, I had a good time. I love seeing Donut. I love seeing Carl. They're just fantastic characters, and I think the way that they show up for each other in this book is really great. We do have some moments where we realize more about, like, especially Donut, and some things we didn't think she knows, but then we find out she does actually know. And her relationship with Carl is just really, really sweet. And I love seeing them together, and I love seeing them grow as a team. We also had moments in this book that I absolutely did not see coming. Like, I was honestly so shocked about something that happens in this book because, yeah, until it started happening, I did not think we would go there in book 3, but we totally did. And I'm so intrigued to see what the like long-term repercussions of that will be for our characters and for their team. And we also already have a little bit of an idea at the end of the book what will happen in the next one, and it does sound very intriguing as well. So I will definitely continue on with this series. I gave this book 4 stars. I know that for a lot of people, I think this one and the next one, maybe, or at least this one, were kind of standouts, and I can totally see why. We definitely have some quite emotional moments, and we get to see some characters that we have met before, but we just see way more interaction with these characters. And I think that is really good because, like, yeah, you can start caring about more people, but then also some of them are just like funny, like that goat. I think the goat is so funny. But we also see more of the NPCs, and we see a little bit more of like what's up with them. But we also have the blood and gore. There are some moments that get very, very disgusting as well. So I think honestly, book 3 definitely had it all, and I can see why people enjoyed this one so much. For me personally, I don't know if I like really enjoyed it more than the other ones. I feel like this is, for me, a very consistent series. And yeah, I can see that like book 3 changed a few things. Like in the first and the second book, we have this like first climax in the middle of the book, which we didn't have so much in this one. In this one, it definitely felt more like a traditional fantasy story where we're building up towards something at the end, and it does get very dramatic at the end. I was so scared for our characters, and there's definitely, you know, a lot going on, and I feel like we are getting more and more into not only the dungeon and how it works, but also the world and how it works. And we do see some changes that for now we can only guess at what's going on with those, but they are definitely like scary in a way. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and I'm having so much fun discovering it all with Donut and Carl and Katya. And yeah, it was such a fun ride, and I am definitely very intrigued to continue on. And I think for this final little bit now, I will go into a few spoilers just to discuss with the many, many people who have read the series already. If you have not, I would definitely recommend you go check it out, even if you think it's not for you. I think this is a series that definitely has the mass appeal, and there is so much going on that there is a little bit of something for everyone. Like, you have the action, but you also have the characters and you have the character dynamics, and this could be very repetitive and very boring, but to me it doesn't feel that way at all, because there's always something going on with our characters, even though we have such a high pace for the action. And I do love that. I do love a book that is high pace, but still we take the time to explore the characters and their relationships. And there is still moments of like heartbreak and sadness, but there's also moments of joy and of laughter. So yeah, this book definitely has it all. Okay, so if you have not read the book, then thank you so much for watching this far. I hope you pick them up very soon, and I hope you leave a like. That makes me very happy. And for all the people who have already read it, let's just chat a little bit more about this one. And I think there's two things that I did not expect to happen in this third book. The first thing we have right at the beginning, and that is Brandon's death. I was not prepared for that at all. I cried, and the whole thing, like how it was done with his message and him talking about his brother as well, it was very heartbreaking. And yeah, I definitely cried. Brandon was such a good guy, and it was very obvious that because of that he wouldn't survive, but still I was like, I want him to. Like, I want him to. So that was so sad, but I was also very happy that we ended up meeting some characters again that were from that group. So we have Imani again, as well as Ellie. We don't really see the other people, but we know that there's more of them around. And it was really great to see them again, and especially Ellie. I think she is so funny. The whole like ice fairy thing is fantastic, and she has such great like snarky comments. And there was this moment when I was grocery shopping and I was just waiting for the bus. I was listening to the audiobook, and then there is this like one character who is messaging Call and is like, oh my god, we're being overrun, and then the message cuts off. And I hadn't been paying like 100% attention, and for a second I thought that was Ellie, and I was freaking out, and then I had to rewind, and then I saw, no, that was a different character. Like, Ellie is fine, because I was so like, no, you can't take Ellie from me. And then again, during the end, during the big battle, and she's flying in there facing the god thing. Oh, I was so scared. So I love Ellie. I love Imani as well, but I feel like she always stays a little bit in the background just because of how her character is. She's not very busy and she's not taking up a lot of room, but I think that is what's great about her. So yeah, I was very happy we saw those two again. Then we obviously have the new alliance with Katya. Now, I said in my other vlog, maybe I said it here as well, Katya is not my favorite name, but I can overlook that. I do like Katya as a character, but I had a hard time trusting her because we know that she is like always chatting with Hekla, and she's eventually going back. And then we have that whole thing with Hekla, and I was not prepared. Like, we know that she might try to get Donut to join the daughters. However, when she shows up, she has this like plan. And again, I wasn't like 100% listening how that whole plan started. I don't know. I missed a tiny little bit at the beginning, how they came up with the plan and why Carl agreed to it. But basically, they're doing this thing where Katya is like in front of the train, and she is like destroying the enemies with her like mass, because she's this like I don't know what they call it, but basically she can change her shape. She's a shapeshifter basically. And so they have this whole thing going, and then yeah, it gets really traumatic, and it seems like something is going on with Katya. And because Donut got these glasses from her sponsor, Donut can actually see that Hekla is kind of shooting these invisible arrows at Katya, so that it looks like Katya will die and that they will start a fight. They're trying to kind of enrage Charles so that he would start attacking them so that they can kill him and then get Donut into their team, which is a very convoluted plan. And as Donut sees it all, it's not happening. So then Katya gets like so angry that she accidentally kills Hekla. And I did not see that coming. I had no idea. So yeah, I was absolutely not ready for Hekla's death at all. I really thought that they would, you know, stay this kind of like vague group where we don't know, can we trust them? Can we not trust them? How far can we not trust them? And all of that. So now they're gone. They're just gone. Like, we know that the one woman, the Cobra woman, I forgot her name, but she's still somewhere out there, and she's probably going to try to kill Katya for revenge at some point. But then also Katya now is part of the team indefinitely, which I think is really great because I actually really, really like her, and Donut likes her, and Carl also really likes her. And I think that this is the much better team for Katya. Like, her chances of surviving just improved a whole ton. Because, like, while the group around Hekla was much bigger, the individuals weren't, like, trained up like that. And I think because Carl is, like, very focused on leveling them all up so that no one stays behind, basically, is a much, much better environment for Katya to move forward. So yeah, I'm very glad that this is how it worked out, but I was so shocked when Hekla was killed. Now, I think those are like the big moments, like the things where I was just like, oh my God, like, I'm so baffled right now that this is happening in book 3. Like, what else is gonna happen? We also have a lot of, like, stuff going on in the background. We can see that something is going on with Sav. So for now, she seems to be out of the picture, and we don't quite know how she will come back in. And through this whole thing, we can see, like, it reminded me a little bit of maybe like how China would do things. You know, we have this, like, one group with, like, the Bloom or whatever that are trying to take over their whole community, like their whole society. And Seth is not one of them, even though ethnically I think she's the same. So yeah, we have kind of like a political party, or like some kind of, like, entity that is forming and that is trying to suppress people who are not part of it. And now we learn that Seth has been sent to, like, re-education, which historically, from human history, we know that is never a good term for anything. So I'm really intrigued to see whether we will see Seth again in the future books, and in what capacity, and how close. Because, like, Donut really, really liked her. So Donut is, like, very upset about it right now. And then we also have this, like, last interview scene with whatever her name is. I forgot. I don't want to remember right now. I just had, like, a very annoying thing happen to me right before I started filming, so I'm a bit annoyed, and I'm trying to just film my update. Okay, like, the lady they always have the interviews with at the end, we do have that scene, and we see that the person who replaced Saf is, like, very much trying to censor a lot of stuff, and there is definitely something going on with that. And they're claiming that they want to avoid that some crawlers get more information from the outside and all of that, which obviously is bad because so far that has really helped Carl and Donut. But obviously we as readers also want to know what's going on outside, because that is important for what is going on within the dungeon. Then we have this one character that is quite important for this book, and that is Bautista. I am intrigued to see how this person will show up in future books, whether they will. I felt, like, sometimes a little bit confused, like, just because of, like, we have, like, huge groups of people move in the Iron Tangle, and I think because I was just listening to the audiobook and not always, like, 100% taking every single thing in, sometimes I was like, okay, now there's a huge group of humans stuck there, and then Carl has to come up with something to save them from there, and, you know, it gets very complicated. And it's even addressed at the end of the book that, like, some of the alien viewers of the dungeon were a little bit annoyed with how complicated this level was, and they're like, oh, don't worry, the next level is not gonna be like that at all. So we'll see about that. But yeah, sometimes it just got a little bit overwhelming. I did enjoy the whole idea of the Iron Tangle kind of being a moving maze with the trains, but then the whole, like, there's people and now they can't move somewhere else, like, and where all the bosses was and stuff like that. I feel like my my kind of like visualization skills were not good enough to like really keep track of that all. But sometimes I'm okay with that. I'm okay with just being like accepting of what they're telling me, what is going on. So I think that was fine. Okay, I've been babbling on for way too long. That's all to say that I did have a great time with the first 3 Dungeon Crawler Cult books, and I will definitely continue reading this series. I would love to hear what your experience was of the first 3 books down below, and also without any spoilers, please, but let me know which one is your favorite book of the ones that are out. If you have read all of them, would love to know which one was your favorite, because I think a lot of people like book 3 quite a bit. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had fun with this vlog. I had a lot of fun making it. It will probably take me a couple of months to get together the next part where we read book 4, 5, and 6, but I'm already excited to start that one. And for now, I thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!